Hello YouTube! A lot of you have been asking a bunch of different questions about spear guns I own and details about them and what I recommend for beginners. So I decided I'm gonna make a video about spear guns today, so let's dive right into it. This is actually my first gun. My father bought this when I was 10 years old. He was more after octopuses and I was more after fish. And the seller in the spearfishing store said this is perfect for beginner, but I would highly disagree because it's really loud, it's hard to load, you're not gonna hit anything with this when you're a beginner. So if you're a beginner, I would advise you to stick with the band powered spear guns. To load this thing, you actually have to insert the shaft in here and then like pull it all the way in. And when I was 10 years old, my arms were not that long, so after every shot I had to swim back to the boat so my father could load it again for me. So that was really unpractical and also dangerous because, you know, if you're a beginner, I think the easiest way to get hurt is loading the pneumatic spear gun like this one. Also, if you're somewhere in the wild and something goes wrong with this gun, you have to find the service and usually costs a lot of money because they have to open this thing up. It actually has a piston inside, so if anything malfunctions, you're basically out of luck and you are without the gun. So this one also has these power regulators, so if you're shooting into the hole, you're not gonna ruin your spear gun tip because it will decrease the power. Actually, it will close the valve and decrease the power, so that's a good thing. Maybe I still see a lot of those pneumatic guns being used in some Italian videos where guys use like kettlebell weights to go down on like 30 meters of depth and they're shooting like brown meagers and stuff. I think it's okay for this type of spearfishing, but you know, out in the open this is pretty much useless. This was actually my second gun after the pneumatic Cressy SL70. I don't even know what the model is called now, but it's like Cressy something 60. So yeah, this was a lot better. This was actually the first spear gun I could actually load myself, so you know, I could swim a bit further. I didn't have to be like near the boat. I've replaced this spear gun head last year because it had this bulky closed head system, and you know, I prefer this open head system over the closed one because it's more practical, and when I'm aiming inside the hole I can aim better with this. So I replaced it and now it's a totally usable gun again for holes. I didn't use it for holes back in the day, but it was totally usable for like near the coast spearfishing for sea basses, mullets, salpus, you know, smaller fish. It also has this safety feature which usually goes on when you don't need it. So yeah, safety on now, safety off. I could actually trigger it right now. I have the trident tip on it now because, you know, it's more practical for holes and I use it that way. And even now, you know, I can totally see this gun being used to catch sea basses in bad visibility with southerly wind. All you would need to do is replace the multi-dent with the actually classic spear gun tip and you are good to go. So actually my next gun after the Immersion Challenger 90 was this monoroller. I still use it. It's from Kraken. The model is called Mr. 90. You can see it's actually a legit spear gun with reel and built like a tank. So yeah, it's actually a wooden spear gun. So I loved it. I actually caught my first bigger sea basses with this one, and there is also video on the channel called My Spearfishing Beginnings about this spear gun and my Immersion Challenger 90. I still love this gun and use it for a more deep spearfishing for bigger fish, but downside of every roller system is the reload time because I need like 4 or 5 minutes to reload this thing, while I can reload my classic in like 15 seconds and shoot again. So yeah, you know, you have to consider this when buying your spear gun. If you're more of a sneaking person or, you know, shallow spearfishing, the classic spear gun, it's always gonna outperform the roller because, you know, it's really annoying to load it time and time again. It takes like 5 minutes. For catching bigger fish like Dennex or amberjacks or leerfish, this is my go-to because, you know, it has a lot of power. When you're spearfishing deeper, the surface intervals are longer, so you actually have time to load this thing. In that case, I would recommend it, but if you're more after smaller fish, you might want to consider a classic spear gun over this. Another thing you're gonna have to consider is you're gonna have to replace those rollers after a couple of years. Those are still first ones in here, but I do need to mention I wash my spear guns after every dive with fresh water, and I use crown spray to keep my rollers fresh and rotating smoothly, so you can also do that to prolong their lifetime. With mono roller like this, you can expect the range of about 4 to 5 meters. And you know, it's still pretty common, but most guys today use inverter rollers because they actually have longer range and the spear actually travels faster. So if you have the budget and you want a roller, maybe the inverter roller would actually be a better option for you. So about 2 years after buying the mono roller, I found out it takes too much time to load for shallow water spear fishing, so I bought this Angler 95 spear gun. If you're watching this channel for a long time, you probably saw a lot of videos where I caught a lot of fish with this one. This is actually a really lightweight gun and, you know, really maneuverable in the sea. So that's what I really like. It's got the reel. I actually put some silicone on here for some better grip. It's got the great Hermes mechanism. Those were actually like limited edition, so you probably can't find them anymore. About 60 of those were made. Maybe you can find used ones on some forums or Facebook Marketplace. The only downside of this gun is actually you can really easily overpower it. If you put a 16mm bend on it, you know, it's gonna bend your shaft. If you got 6.5mm like I have, so those are actually 14mm US latex bands, and with those I really love this setup. It's great for smaller fish up to 2 kilograms and best for sneaking. I have the paddest shaft on most of my guns because it's the most durable, and I've shot at rocks directly with this and it's still in pretty much good shape. With this Angler 95 spear gun with 14mm bands, the effective range is about 3 to 4 meters, which is good enough. A gun like this, you know, lightweight, 2 bands, classic, is actually what I would recommend for a beginner because it's easy to use, easy to load, very maneuverable. And you know, if you miss the reload time on this one, it's like 2 minutes, maybe even less if you get used to it. So yeah, this is, in my opinion, the perfect beginner spear gun. So finally, the Cirrus Triton 90, the best gun I've ever owned. And you can see in my recent videos I mostly spearfish with this spear gun right now. Perfect gun in my opinion, also for beginners. The build quality of this gun is like out of this world. I've really used it harshly for as long as I've owned it, and you know, it's got some scratch here and there, but this is a solid material. You know, you're not gonna break this, it's not gonna bend. So if you're gonna buy this, this is actually quality. Your son and your son's son is gonna be able to spearfish with this. This is like, it's gonna last forever, so I'm really happy with it. Every part is replaceable, so if you've got money to spend, I would actually buy this and have quality instead of many guns. So yeah, you know, you can use this basically for everything. You can use it for holes. You just then in that case use one band, you know, jam it in here to not break the shaft. You can use it for ambush, sneaking. I'm not gonna go into details because I actually filmed a review for this spear gun. Thanks again to Lauro and Katarina from Cirrus Spearfishing. You can find their website in description below if you're interested in guns like this. That's all for today's spear gun overview video. If you liked it, make sure to like this video and subscribe, as it helps the algorithm and ensures you won't miss out on my future content. Thanks for watching and stay safe while diving.